You probably all know the feeling of watching your games collection grow. It's practically synonymous with Steam, bloating your library with games that will never be played, and my library is no different. But from time to time, I come across a game I just want to beat. And by beat, I don't mean just run through to completion. I want to see everything this game has to offer, exactly as the devs intended. And what better way to quantify this than achievements? Some of these games are beautifully simple, with minimal mechanics, cost, and time making them relatively easy to 100%. I have a couple of these under my belt, and while I might get around to one someday, today I want to sink my teeth into something more substantial. A game where the achievements have meaning, where effort, tactics, and the full potential of the player is required. And there's still the critical requirement that the game is near and dear to my heart. XCom Enemy Unknown, with its subsequent DLC, is one of those games. In my youth, it struck a chord with me, and as far as I can remember, it's the first game I ever truly completed. It's still one of few games I own where I've played through the full story mode. And now, it's time to put XCOM to rest, by getting the rest of the achievements, thus completing the game 100%. This being an informal run, I won't be listing any strict rules, but will try to hold to the spirit of the task. Right now, the only restriction I have is to play the game vanilla, but we'll see what comes up. One other point of note is that this isn't a 100% run, just completionism. This means that the bunch of achievements I've already got will help speed us along, but I still need a game plan. One particularly tedious achievement is a Continental Fellow, which requires at minimum 5 full game playthroughs. Still, this gives us a lot of time and opportunities to get the achievements. Though I've beaten the game twice before, I'll probably still need to play all 5 runs, because there are a lot of challenging achievements I need. Partly because I beat the game on a different Steam account my second time, but c'est la vie. I've started with the tutorial to shake off some rust, but we won't be continuing with this save. This is because of the Ain't No Cavalry Coming achievement, which requires us to have a soldier attend and survive every mission. Only one soldier can survive the tutorial, so to get some free spares, we restart here. It's not strictly necessary, but going into this I at least want to try not to save scum. I probably will, but I won't always have the luxury, so it's in my best interests to play pseudo Iron Man. This first game will be on easy difficulty, but without Iron Man mode. I'm trying to get a lot of achievements this run, so lowering the difficulty as much as possible is conducive to that. And the lower difficulty will help if we need to stall for achievements like Edison or Hunter Killer. Really, with a bit of luck, we should be able to get most of them this run. I select South America as my starting location, and we're off. After a quick repeat of the first mission, we're back at the start of the game. Since this isn't a true 100% playthrough, and I know this video is going to be long, I'll go over the start quickly. I begin research on meld recombination, which when complete allows us to use meld, a resource we can upgrade our soldiers with, and get engineering to work on expanding the base and a medkit for our support unit. Next, I rename my first 4 starting soldiers so I know who they are. These 4 should ideally be on every mission of the game, but at some point that's going to have to change because it isn't feasible to bring the same 4 people on every mission. The names are pretty arbitrary, but renaming soldiers, even as I do, is a good way to get invested in them, making the game that much more engaging. Annoyingly, this game doesn't let you nickname troops until they're higher level. I also labeled these initial troops with FM, so I know they were on the first mission. I'll remove the tag later from units that miss a mission, but ideally Pawn and Mega, our sniper and support, will be around on all missions. Snipers especially are good candidates for getting the No Cavalry achievement, since once they get Squad Sight, an ability that lets the sniper see enemies within other units' fields of vision, it's relatively easy to keep them out of danger and prevent them from getting wounded and therefore missing missions. Similarly, supports should be able to stay out of danger or at least prevent themselves from getting wounded using a medkit once we get better armor. With all that out of the way, it's finally time to go to the geoscape and wait for our next mission. That said, I won't be getting achievements until much later. It's too early to try for the Lone Wolf achievement, and the abduction missions that spawn won't be high enough difficulty for wet work. Unfortunately, our sniper is still injured when the first abduction rolls around. I try to pass some time, but the missions disappear as MELD research finishes. I start on the next research, and while I'd like to build a genetics lab so we can start improving Pawn and Mega's stats, engineering still hasn't dug out the rooms I need, and I want to save the other spaces for different buildings, which I'll talk about later. On March 9th, 2015, I shoot down my first UFO. This time, the squad is ready to go. The A-Team returned victorious with minimal casualties. I'll continue playing in much the same way, making sure to bring Pawn and Mega on every mission, and that they never get too wounded, but the video would be too long if I showed every mission. Once the excavation is finished, I immediately get to work on the genetics lab. While I won't have enough materials, and I'm not far enough in the game for some of the more powerful buffs, I can increase my soldiers' healing speed, which I want to do ASAP on the soldiers I'm using for No Cavalry. Demonstrating why I want them to heal faster, Pawn is still too wounded to go on the next abduction mission. By skipping this, panic will increase a bunch in France, Russia, and Japan, and slightly in other countries on the same continent. When a country's panic gets too high, they'll leave the XCom project and increase game over progress, but it's early enough in the game that I take the risk. After finishing the weapons fragment research, a preliminary research for better weapons, the board looks grim, but we haven't lost any nations yet. Still, this highlights that we need better armor, and fast, since I can't skip any more missions until panic is under control. To do that, we need to get some engineers, as I'll explain later. Satellites reduce panic, prevent abductions in their country, and give continent-specific bonuses at the end of the month, such as getting engineers from Asia. So I launch a satellite over Japan. It also means alien UFOs will now spawn over Asia, so I'm forced to order a pair of interceptors. We're not throwing away the money though, since intercepting UFOs prevents them from raising panic and also gets us a bit of money back, buying us time to get more satellites up. However, to launch more satellites, we'll need to build another satellite uplink facility and increase our satellite cap, which is why we need more engineers. Regardless, I start the alien materials research to begin working towards the next tier of armor tech. It's still early enough that I can set aside the air game, which I need to be strong for hunter-killer and shooting stars, and it's too early for covert ops missions to spawn, so we can delay the pistol tech that would help with the Remington achievement. The genetics lab comes online next, and I get to work modifying Pawn and Mega with adaptive bone marrow, which increases their healing rate, and start researching Carapace armor, the tier 2 armor tech.
We are on the threshold of a new kind of warfare. Our soldiers were already humanity's best warriors. Now, as we learn from our fallen enemies, we can make their strengths our own.
With Pawn and Mega gene modded, I'll be moving forward with just those two for no cavalry. Therefore, after shooting down another UFO, I begin cycling rookies in to make sure they start leveling up. After a successful mission, there's a round of promotions, exactly what I was hoping for, but panic is getting higher than I'd like. I still have some leeway, but losing these nations this early will still hurt. The panic system is a little opaque, but something every XCom player knows is that the only reliable way to reduce panic is to launch satellites like I did over Japan earlier. For reasons explained earlier, that isn't on the books right now, but I've started work on an engineering workshop to get 5 more engineers as a last-ditch effort. One other way to reduce panic is that, allegedly, council missions also reduce panic in the country they take place in. However, I'm not sure if that applies to the DLC questlines, which we start seeing now that it's month 2. I left them on since there's no penalty for skipping the mission, but right now we could use the cash from Portent as I rush to get 3 satellites online. We can't risk Pawn or Mega getting injured though, since later this month I have to take Operation Slingshot if I want to do the All Aboard achievement this game. Despite a few mock-ups, the mission is a success, granting us the listed rewards, though panic in France remains full. I immediately put the money to work building some new satellites, but they won't be done until after our deadline of the council report. The engineering lab finishes and I get right to work on the satellite uplink. Things are coming close to the wire in more ways than one. Fortunately, there's some wreckage to sell on the grey market to make up the cash, so I don't have to sell useful stuff, but I can't do anything about the build time. The Carapace armor research finishes, so it's time to make some progress towards stronger interceptors. Next month I'll be wanting to get lasers out of the way, but we should still be on track to a much stronger air game than the aliens. On April 18th, we get our first terror mission, which, in morbid irony, I take as a good thing, since this for sure will reduce panic. Though Pawn takes a bit more damage than I'm happy with, I finally get panic back under control in Europe.
I'm sure the troops will be eager to get out there and even up the body count.
And it's back to business as usual after that, with both Pawn and Mega healthy and ready for the next Abduction mission. Unfortunately, Pawn was still too wounded when Friends in Low Places, part of a mission chain leading to Confounding Light, appeared, so I set All Aboard aside for the next game. Panic continues to be a problem. Fortunately, only South Africa leaves the council, once again demonstrating just how muddled information on panic is.
Excellent work, Commander. This council is...
Too late to save South Africa, our satellite array comes online. Since I built an engineering lab where I planned for power plants, I began extending the access lift towards the next patch of steam. All buildings need power to function, and steam power plants produce 20 instead of 6, with adjacency bonuses to regular power generators. Because of this, important facilities like satellite uplinks and power generation are always in blocks of 4. Research into alien nav computers finishes, ironically unlocking a better satellite uplink, and I finally start work on progressing the story. I said earlier I want beam weapons, but I've put this off long enough, and slow research is actually really inefficient.
I appreciate your efforts.
You're telling me that we should risk the lives of our troops so we can take one of these things alive?
Yes. Without a live specimen, I'm afraid we've reached the pinnacle of what my team is able to accomplish.
And how do you suggest we do this, Doctor?
The autopsy I've just completed confirms that the alien's physiology is quite similar to our own. A highly concentrated electrical current delivered at close range should cause
Close range? And what happens if it doesn't work? Do you really think this is worth the risk?
I do. We do not know our enemy. How can we hope to stop something that we do not understand? If we can capture one of these creatures alive, we may be able to communicate with it.
And interrogate it. Find out what they want. Where they're operating from.
Yes. That possibility outweighs all risks, in my opinion. I can construct a safe enough facility to house our captive, but I do not know how we could possibly communicate with it.
Not to worry. I will see to that.
All right. I'll speak to the commander.
Xenobiology research finishes, and we have a new task. Capture aliens alive. We can also tech up quickly, since South America allows me to complete all autopsies instantly. Critically, this unlocks a few buffs to our air game, and the bioelectric skin gene mod. While the air game is nice because of the two related achievements mentioned earlier, the ability to see off-screen enemies lets us now pursue Tingling Sensation. I get a soldier gene modding right away. Next, I begin researching the arc thrower, the tool that'll let us capture enemies. And a new UFO type, the Abductor, comes by, allowing me to show off our latest air tech. It's actually the first time I've used this stuff, so I misjudge how many I need and send a second jet to take the Abductor down for good. Taking down the Abductor means we're that much closer to getting Hunter-Killer, but it won't be until August before we see the next ship type. Regardless, I load up my best soldiers for this one. Next up, we have a site recon. This looks like a normal mission, but it'll be anything but, and my soldiers don't have the damage output for me to go in with confidence. Still, since this is required for the Zom-B-Gone achievement, I have no choice. Alright, so this is going to be a bit of a dicey mission. We are nowhere near where I would like to be, but we do need this for the achievement. Now, since this is the first live action section, I'm going to go through and explain things a little bit. So in XCom, you get two actions, and when you use them to move twice, it ends your turn. Or you can move and use an ability, typically. Some abilities like Fire Rocket, you can't use if you move. And And most actions will end your turn, so it's good to move first if you can. So I'm just going to overwatch everyone. A good option, turn 1. And what Overwatch does is, if an enemy moves into your line of sight, the soldier will fire. You've seen it quite a few times in the montages now. Something else that's in XCOM is cover. So if I go, say, here, you have full cover or half cover. Obviously, cover is useful in stopping bullets. However, you'll notice in this mission I'm not really using it. And that's because in this mission, cover is just not really necessary, and you'll see why in a minute. There's also no time limit to this mission, so I'm definitely going to take my time. Single moves only. Lots of Overwatch. And I really want Pawn, who has squad sight, to get on top of probably this building here. This mission, I'm going to be real, I've played before, I know the strategy. There's a whaling boat somewhere back here that we want Pawn to overlook. And because if they have a good field of fire over that, they will be able to provide covering fire. Because they can see enemies in other soldiers' fields of view.
You've got zombies near your position, Strike One, which means the chrysalids aren't far behind. We need to find out where these things are coming from on the double. Objective updated.
Yeah, and that's why I'm being careful. These zombies will turn into a chrysalid in 3 turns. And a chrysalid are those spiky boys that we saw in one of the earlier missions. They're pretty scary, and they have a lot of health for the guns we have, so I'm definitely going to take a few pot shots at these guys. The issue is I don't want to get too close. These guys can only melee attack. Chrysalids can also only melee attack. 2 good shots from these heavies should kill this guy. And he's far enough away that I'll take that. I wish we had higher leveled heavies, because they can fire twice if they don't move, but Zephyr got wounded in the last mission. I think Zephyr's our other heavy. And because we killed an enemy, I want to give our heavies a bit of time to rest and recover. The next thing we have to deal with is this guy. The mission doesn't tell you this, but these guys are bad news. And so of course I'm going to just, you know, do a little metagaming. Also, here is why I want... Yeah. So, Mega here is basically useless in this mission. He doesn't have the firepower to kill one of these guys. I mean, let's see what a headshot does. And that is why I brought a sniper. I did want to bring 2 snipers, but none of our other snipers have squad sight, and the sniper rifle you can only shoot if you haven't moved. Unless you have a certain ability. But obviously our snipers are all level 1, so they don't have that ability. Now, you also might wonder why I switched to pistol there. That's just because the pistol has infinite ammo. Very realistic, I know. But, as you can see, reloading takes a turn, so I don't want to reload if I don't have to. Here comes another zombie. And again, I do want to see if I can deal with it using Pawn, because Pawn's not going to really move much, again. He cannot move and shoot on the same round. And I was hoping... Oh shoot, I misclicked. So in XCOM you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can cycle through people using the tab key, and through these using the 1, 2, 3, and 4 keys. And if you hit 1 twice, it shoots, and I meant to back out of it and change weapons on Mega. Yeah, I really should just get my soldiers back up here, to be honest. I mean, it's not like cover matters, but there is height advantages. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Another thing you want to do is look at lines. So I've set up a line here. So ideally I don't move anyone past that, because otherwise I risk activating groups of enemies I haven't seen yet. But yeah, I want to position pawn up here, or maybe on top of... No, I can't get on top of this building. But somewhere up high where they have a line of sight, because they get aim benefits, and we'll be able to pick off the chrysalids that way. Gonna send Mega up here, just get line of sight. And I'm gonna be a bit riskier because I can single move.
Something about that shark just doesn't look right.
Let's see. Oh, we did actually spot a guy. Let's see if I get lucky. I mean, better than nothing. So for the shark, I mean, you'll see in a second what happens, but it'll spawn a chrysalid. They, if I remember correctly, don't move until the next turn.
Well, that's new. We should probably let Dr. Valen know about this. I doubt one chrysalid and a shark was enough for them to overrun this town, though. Keep an eye out for anything else the chrysalids might be nesting in.
Yep, so this is a chrysalid. They go fast. The reason I want to be higher than them is because they will jump. Oh, bugger. And that's why you don't want to let the chrysalids see you, because then they get a free move. I wonder if I can frag them to death. 3 damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to use a little trick called running away. No, I'm just kidding. 72. Alright, Mega, take the shot. I think they're far enough away that they won't kill us this turn. So yeah, if I leave Abyss here, he's gonna die. Or she? Okay, that's really annoying, actually. Pawn is gonna need to reload next turn. So, I'm gonna have them snipe this one. Reason being is then we can grenade these two next turn. And there, that's why I moved Abyss. So now he has to take 2 moves and can't attack. Just oh no. Okay, they can't attack diagonally, thankfully. And so he's going to, I believe, jump, which means he can't attack this turn anyways. So I'm gonna have Abyss step back here. I don't think they can attack. Throw a cheeky frag grenade. And then I think we're close enough to hit. But let's find out. This is XCom. Now I want to take a beat. Make sure everyone gets a chance to overwatch and reload. I am going to make sure to move pawn first. Because again, reloading ends the turn. Alright, so now that we're getting close to the whaling ship, I kind of want to plan my moves. So there's a few ways you can do this. One way is apparently you can just wait it out and then go in. And the other way is, of course, doing what the game wants you to and trying to rush the objective. What it is and the objective is, you'll see in just a second. We just want to regroup here, get ready for the assault on this boat. And I actually want to move D'Artagnan and the other heavy up first, just because Mega has an ability that makes them move farther. And I don't want him to get too far ahead. Is this a good place for Pawn? They can see most of the deck. They can see all the way to the bridge. I think. So yeah, they're good here. And so this is Pawn's squad sight in action. You can see they've got a little target arrow, so this is actually way outside Pawn's line of fire. But they can still snipe the heck out of this guy. Okay, well, I guess we'll use heavy machine gun ammo. After a few false rounds, we're ready to assault the boat. We need to get a soldier over here. That means up this ladder, across the deck, into here, and then they need to get the hell out. Annoyingly, Mega is our best candidate because they have the highest move speed. So, I am gonna move them far and fast. Oof, only 3 damage. That kind of sucks. Sucks to be them. He's gonna have to use jump, so I'm really trusting the wiki here. Let's see if I can get a grenade. Never mind, he doesn't have a grenade. He does have a shot, though. Alright, this is the fun part. So, D'Artagnan can make it. Abyss cannot. Basically, I want them to have eyes on here. Because Mega is going to need some fire support.
Time to motor.
I don't know if Overwatch works with squad sight. Yeah, left click to activate. I think it's waiting for some dialogue to play. No? Yes?
The ship's transponder is active and transmitting. You need to get moving, Strike One. That whole place is going up in a matter of minutes, and anyone left behind is as good as dead. We have a new objective.
So, fun fact, you actually can't play it slow anymore. Believe me, I've tried. I got an entire squad to about here before the airstrike happened. So, it's time to get the hell out of Dodge. Which again is why you want to send your fastest person through here. It's not just to get them in quicker, it's to get them out faster. These guys are here to keep an eye on the situation. Oh look, squad sight does work. And Major Pawn is being an absolute boss. This is why I always take the sniper with my own name. I might be biased. I love the snipers.
X-ray down.
And now we begin pulling out. Again, I don't want to abandon Mega. Or I don't want to abandon anyone, so I'm going to try and use the concept of lines. Yes, geometry class. Of course, this time we're trying to get back here, so I want to pull everyone quickly back down through these 2 corridors. So, which means my line is about here, where Abyss is. And so D'Artagnan should pull back. And that's kind of how I'm gonna skip people back. Which means Pawn is going to be the last to move. That's why I'm overwatching the whole place. I think all of these fish start... Yes, there we go. So we do need to keep an eye on the fish from earlier. Which is... where did it go? It's around here somewhere. Here it is. I'm sorry, why can you not... single move? That was a weird route. I guess fire is pretty scary. Pawn can't actually see anyone, and they're getting low on ammo, so to save a turn, I am going to just reload them. Ammo's looking fine. I hit the wrong button anyways, so they're reloaded. We basically don't have to worry about these guys. They're too far away to be a threat. As long as we keep moving, of course. So this is going to be Pawn's last shot before I start moving him. Because, yeah, the enemies are starting to get scary. And might as well token Overwatch. It's free damage if they hit, basically. Mega does have okay aim. Yeah, but again, this is why I want lasers. Their shots are so weak. Yeah, what was I saying about moving Pawn? Also, really bad to hit chance sniper rifle in close quarters. So it's high time to move Pawn. 5 turns. Well, Pawn double moved, so there's really not much we can do. This guy is going to pop as soon as we're around here. And we do have this guy super close, so... hopefully this is enough to kill him. Those are the immediate threats dealt with. There's only that one more shark that we have to worry about. And hopefully we get to the airstrike location. Yeah, there he is.
That airstrike is closing in your position. You need to get to the evac point before it's too late.
So what I'm going to do is look at people's dash ranges. Because that means Pawn needs to be here and she should dash into there next round. Abyss. So I know he's going to still be here. Because they don't move after they pop out of the shark. So we are actually safe to double move. Yeah, see? He didn't move. Anyways. I just need to make sure to move my soldiers correctly. That was surprisingly easier than expected, likely in no small part due to my skillful preparation, also known as blatantly metagaming. This is the first time I've played in years, so it sort of showed, but I'm hoping to carry this momentum through and shake off the rust in the next games, which will be at higher difficulty. The projects I've been working on continue uninhibited, and I get back to work on laser weapons. I consider the experimental warfare tree, but that dead ends quickly and lasers will give us the pistol and aircraft upgrade soon enough. I'll get around to it for Edison, but it's low priority for now.
Commander, our intelligence sources indicate that a previously unknown organization is attempting to undermine XCom field operations. We believe this group harbors some misguided sympathies for the invaders, and is intent on acquiring alien technology and artifacts critical to your efforts. Early reports indicate this organization calls itself EXALT. We trust you will isolate the source of this new threat and eliminate it.
Commander, the Council has provided some additional resources to help us deal with these traitors. We can begin scanning for additional EXALT cell locations and launch covert operations to disrupt their activity via the Situation Room.
And after the next round of construction finishes, a new threat is revealed. EXALT. I select Fern as our first special duty soldier and hope that basic pistol tech and a grenade will be enough for Remington.
To disrupt EXALT cell in Egypt.
Okay, that's a few too many snipers. Let's trim that down a little. In fact, let's try and get 2 achievements. I am going to bring Blue Vamp. Ilani Jack. Good friend of mine. Still don't have lasers, but oh well. So, we are going for a bit of a 2-for-1 deal here. We are going to go for the Remington achievement, which is to make sure Fern gets 3 kills. As well, we are going for the Tingling Sensation achievement, which is to get a kill on an enemy that is not seen. Because Ilani Jack here can see enemies, as far as I understand it, off screen. We'll see about that. Alright. So we can do... I forget the exact optimum strategy for these missions. Oh, you're just staying here. Cool. You're not gonna try and be stealthy at all. But we could get Fern to run out and get these, which are encoders, which, as far as I know, will disable all their weapons, so they have to reload. Now, I don't actually know if EXALT start on this map or spawn in or what. Now, I talked about lines in the last one. We have a line here and we have a line here. So ideally I wouldn't move people past that. I'm gonna take a bit of a risk. I can see most of here. I don't think there's gonna be enemies there. Let's double check with the Special Forces unit. So I feel relatively confident in moving Ilani Drac up to here. I'm not moving them to look this way because, well, they'll activate enemies if there are any. But I'm starting to get the feeling there aren't going to be any enemies. I feel like I've misunderstood the mission type. Well, let's see if we can get Fern with some eyes on. I can use a cheeky little grenade if I need to eliminate EXALT.
Deployed a series of communications relays in the area. If our operative can get close enough and access the relay using the encryption keys they acquired from EXALT's data, they should be able to temporarily disrupt the enemy's comm network.
So I'm going to get Krona up here as well, because Krona should be able to shoot down or across at EXALT units coming for the encoder.
Moving to designated position.
But Krona does not have squad sight yet, which is why I'm trying to get them kills. The way soldiers level up in XCom is purely based on the number of kills they have. So, well, I think it's purely based on the number of kills. I'll put a wiki page on screen that tells me how wrong I am, but I don't know that. I don't want to be too aggressive with Pawn. Yeah, if you haven't noticed by now, I don't actually know all that much about the intricacies, the inner workings of this game. Most of what I know, most of what I talk about, I learned from wikis, from my own research, or from my own experience. But a lot of it is just from the wikis. Alright. I took a minute to research what I'm actually looking for, and I'm not seeing it. There's supposed to be a faint circular distortion a few tiles beyond the soldier's line of sight, who has the gene mod, bioelectric skin. That would be Ilani Drac here, has the gene mod. And I am not seeing anything. And these comms arrays seem largely useless. Reason being is just that bugger. So, that is not what I wanted to happen. I thought they were further back here. So Fern is very exposed here. I have a few options. There's 2 guys. One's back here, one's down here. Fern needs to get 3 kills, which means Fern needs to finish all 3 of these guys off. She does not need to get them down from full health. She just needs the finishing blow. And this is why I brought an assault, So they can run and gun. Back to here. They could go here, but they'll totally be flanked. They could go here.
Enemy communications are down. That should keep EXALT.
So I'm just gonna get Krona up here. They'll be able to use their pistol. And see there, he had to reload. Now this would be good if these guys were slightly lower health. Which, conveniently...
Throwing grenade.
Also, I'm totally going way, like, super gung-ho for this achievement. I definitely do not need to do it this time around. I just want to. That's 2 kills.
Already there. Enemy troops.
So even though I know he's there, I can't snipe him anymore. Well, I could take this guy out. And deal some damage here. Is that a grenade? No, it's a smoke grenade. And you're flanking Drac, aren't you? There is an Overwatch in this area. However, this is why I took Fern. Fern is an assault, which means they dodge the first Overwatch because of wizardry. If they trigger it, which they didn't. Cool. Sometimes line of sight confuses me. Why can Fern not see this guy? What I want to do is double shot this guy, but I don't think I'll deal enough damage, even if both hits crit. And there's Remington. I think someone's gonna die.
That should throw him off.
An abduction mission happens moments after we get back, meaning Mega is too injured, pulling him out of the running for Ain't No Cavalry Coming. Since I still have Drac, I decide on this mission to try again for the Tingling Sensation achievement. Allow me to show you how we're going to get Tingling Sensation. We've got Zephyr, our best heavy, and D'Artagnan, our, well, second best heavy, and using the power of extreme prejudice and rocket launchers, we are going to whoop some butt. Oh yeah, and copious frag grenades. Also, yeah, I just give people EXALT stuff because it looks better. Virgin, XCom Assault Rifle, Chad EXALT Assault Rifle. I don't know. I like them. So yeah, basically the plan is to rocket launcher the crap out of the first invisible alien we see. And that's going to be the whole clip here because I'm too tired to commentate a whole mission.
Has arrived.
So the hard part about this is going to be actually not spotting the enemies. in a twist of irony. One other thing I need to check is the range of rockets, right? These guys are going to need lines of sight. So for example, Zephyr needs a line of sight down somewhere this way. God, I don't understand how you're supposed to get this achievement, to be completely honest. So yeah, this is what I would want. Because then what we do is we fire a rocket in the window. Right? But there's no one there. What's up with that? Chat, what's up with that?
X-ray spotted.
Okay. So, I've activated these guys. Alright, what I'm going to try and do is get some damage on one of these guys. So we can one-shot them with a rocket. These are not really prime candidates for the achievement. Alright, so basically what I need to do is hurt these guys, then pull D'Artagnan back, or I wait until sectoids show up. Right, the whole idea is this building is going to be a great zone because if they're back here, we'd fire a rocket through here. We can hit here, but we can't see in there. Bob's your uncle. Alright, I'm just going to try and kite these guys. That means D'Artagnan's going to have to sit there one more turn. I'm going to hunker down everyone else.
Location confirmed.
Alright, I'm just gonna save scum because... Okay, there's thin men. We can kill the thin men. Cause yeah, unless I can somehow just get a frag grenade here with like out of line of sight. Like how far can Zephyr throw? Not far enough. So yeah, save it for the thin men. Basically what I gotta try and do is kite the thin men inside. Line up a shot with Zephyr through here. No clue how we can see this guy. No clue how we can see this guy. Line of sight in XCOM is just stupid sometimes. Who knew that this was going to be the hardest achievement? We just have the two thin men left. That was not necessary. So, this one right here, officer. So, you have got to be shitting me. Don't know how we saw those guys. But, as hoped, we can see them, maybe?
Heading there now.
I've been reloading this a whole bunch because this stupid thing just isn't working. Basically, I know there's an enemy here. Right, you can see because I can't hover my mouse on it. But is he freaking detected or not? It's not showing me the detection circle, like barely? This game's bugged. Anyways, after finally bloody figuring it out, hopefully that'll hit. And it did. Thank freaking God that took forever. That took way, way longer than it needed to. And now that I've gotten the achievement, I can't save scum before this point, but I have to admit I am on Linux. It might be a Linux, like, Proton thing causing this. But yeah, that was just not showing up properly. So much for just in and out 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to seeing the damage report. After that tiresome mission, I find out that I messed up the timing of the satellites and interceptors over Europe, so I miss a UFO. This causes a battleship to spawn, and in my experience I try to take it down with ravens, thinking I could be on track for shooting stars. Still, now I know I can spawn a battleship when I want to.
We've just lost one of our satellites.
Extra panic aside, I'm progressing the story nicely, and losing countries is more of an annoyance than an actual problem. I continue working along everything I've already mentioned. Capturing aliens to progress the story, researching laser weapons, keeping panic under control, and working towards the new interceptor. I guess my life has been too good recently, so Steam decides to YouTube me over. Saving stops working. Or rather, I can't see any of my new save files. That's odd, I think to myself, and decide to look into my Proton settings. Turns out XCom runs natively on Linux. Therefore, forcing a Proton version has dire, unexpected consequences. Because it technically reinstalled the game, Steam Cloud decides to overwrite my current save file with files from the last time I played, in 2017. I guess because the file names are the same? And of course, Steam Cloud had just silently failed when I installed the game originally, which is why I didn't have the 2017 save files in the first place. Which also means it casually hid from me that it wasn't uploading the saves of the game we've been playing until now. Still, I wasn't ready to give up just yet. I know enough about computers to have a few tricks up my sleeve. After brushing up on my Linux tools a little, I run the PhotoRec data recovery utility, scratching up about 1 million files that were deleted. Then, by opening the save files from 2017 in a text editor, I can figure out what text they contain and use grep to look for a similar text in the recovered files. After much trial and error, I find that using the day's date narrows things down to 2 files. These files are listed as TrueType font files, but buried deep within I find something that looks exactly the same as the start of XCOM save files. I make a copy of the first file, deleting everything before the header and renaming it to Save64. The file is still too long, but I have to hope that XCOM can open it properly, since I can't see a consistent footer in the other save files. I launch into the game and... while Save64 is recognized as a save file, it's registered as corrupt. I tried a bunch of other things off camera, but could never find or make a working save file. This is stupid. Literally hours of gameplay, recording, whatever, lost due to the very thing that was supposed to prevent this. This project is hardly down the drain, just... I hope you'll excuse me if I don't feel like continuing. One of the whole points of this was to get the achievements in a game where I reach the end. As I said, I want to work in the spirit of the achievements. But that's foobar now. And I can't even pick up where I left off on one of the other saves because of Ain't No Cavalry Coming. Not that I even feel like doing that.